Mic test? Okay. Oops. You have been sold an illusion that electric cars are the answer to our environmental misery. But beneath the surface of this clean revolution lies a trail of environmental destruction and human suffering. So let's dive into the dark truth behind the electrification of cars and vehicles. Electric cars do promise a cleaner future, but the reality is far more complex. The materials they rely on often come at high environmental and human costs. And in this talk, we're going to discover these hidden challenges, urging us to consider more sustainable paths moving forward in our transportation. With that being said, we're going to discover the role of cobalt in powering these cars. Then, we're going to journey to the Democratic Republic of Congo to understand these harsh realities of cobalt mining. And later, we're going to explore China's influence in this industry and examine their greater control over it. And lastly, we're going to go over actionable solutions for a true greener future on the roads. Cobalt. It is an essential element in electric vehicle batteries, providing thermal stability that ensures safety and efficiency. And though it was historically used as a pigment in ceramics, its true value emerged with the development of rechargeable batteries. And unlike lithium, cobalt helps batteries maintain performance and stability, enabling the cars to achieve longer distances without the risk of overheating. And as you might have guessed, the demand for cobalt has surged with the rise of electric vehicles, underscoring its absolute crucial role in modern battery technology. And shockingly, over 70% of the entire world's cobalt comes from one country and one country only, the Democratic Republic of Congo. However, unfortunately, the reality behind this statistic is quite troubling. Many mines operate under harsh and dangerous conditions with minimal regulation and oversight. Workers, including children, often face unsafe environments, risking their lives on a daily basis. Child labor, other human rights abuses, and environmental exploitation are quite prevalent. And the environmental impact that cobalt mining has in the DRC is just as significant. The extraction processes involve deforestation, soil erosion, and water pollution, further worsening the region's ecological challenges. A research done by Harvard Chan School Associate explains that the mining industry has destroyed the landscape of the DRC, further supporting the idea that cobalt mining is detrimental for the environment. Millions of trees have been cut down. The air around the mines is hazy with grit and dust. And the water, it has been contaminated with toxic effluents from the extraction processes. And what's more, he says, cobalt is toxic to touch and breathe. And there are hundreds of thousands of poor Congolese people touching it and breathing it day in and day out. Young mothers with babies strapped to their backs, all breathing in this toxic cobalt dust. So understanding these harsh realities is very crucial for us to assess the true cost of our transition into electric vehicles. Let's now slightly shift our attention to China's influence in this big picture. To begin with, China has recognized the strategic importance for cobalt long before it became a critical component in electric vehicle batteries. Over 2 decades ago, they began heavily investing in mining operations, primarily in the DRC. So this early foresight allowed them to secure a substantial foothold into the market, making them a key player in meeting those rising demands of electric vehicles worldwide. And today, Chinese-owned companies are aggressively expanding their mining operations, not only in the DRC, but in other countries like Indonesia. And despite a recent crash in cobalt prices, those companies are undeterred, blistered by state support and the high prices of other metals like copper, which are often mined alongside cobalt. For example, a Chinese cobalt-producing company called the CMOC Group has increased their cobalt output by 144% only in the first 3 quarters of 2023, which is considered to be a massive difference compared to other competitors in the market. And this aggressive expansion is beyond just a bid for a market share. It is a strategic move to exert greater control over the market. And this strategy not only strengthens China's economic influence, it also enhances its geopolitical leverage. And by dominating over the market, China holds sway over the pricing, availability, and technological advancements of electric vehicles worldwide. Having explored all of these challenges of cobalt extractions and China's role, let's now look into a list of potential and practical solutions that we can apply. While other battery types like lithium iron phosphate may offer some promise, they are not a complete fix due to the extraction of other rare earth metals, which is just as harmful. The true and ultimate solution lies in transforming our entire approach to transportation itself. So investing in and promoting public transportation is perhaps the ultimate way that we can reduce our dependency on personal vehicles and all of the other extractions that are associated with them. And by reducing the number of cars on the road, we can significantly decrease the demand for cobalt and other critical minerals. And to promote this shift, we need to improve services, enhance infrastructure, and provide incentives that make public transportation a much attractive option compared to personal vehicles. So what can you do to be part of this change? First, consider pursuing education in relevant fields like urban planning, sustainable development, and public transportation. And even if you don't want to do so, at least try to get yourself some knowledge about the basics of such topics. And second, use public transportation in your daily lives. Use buses, trains, and trams whenever possible. And by doing that, encourage those around you to do the same. Spread awareness about it. Tell them about the disadvantages of personal vehicles and the benefits of public transportation. Use social media and other platforms to learn and share such information. And lastly, get involved in local advocacy. Support policies and initiatives that make all of that much more accessible to do. To conclude, while the electrification of vehicles may seem like a greener solution at first glance, it is quite not the case, due to what we have discussed about cobalt and its harmful extractions in the DRC, and how China holds sway over all of this big picture. So that should all urge us to consider actual and actionable solutions moving forward in our future. And by doing that, we said we need to educate ourselves, practically start using public transportation, and tell those around us to do the same. And of course, support any policies or initiatives that make all of that more accessible. Let's work together to drive the change we want to see, ensuring a healthier planet for generations to come. Thank you.